Hi, today's good person to know is Louise Fowler. She's CEO at Davenport, and she gave a talk on knowing your customer, drawing from nearly 30 years of experience working with household brands. Louise says the best innovations and inspirations come by learning from other people. And as a business, you should try and get that from the people you're trying to engage with, i.e. your customers. She says, stop thinking about customers and instead put yourself in their shoes and look at yourself from their perspective. It's true, customers are not interested and do not care about your business or your operations so long as they're morally and ethically correct. They buy from you because you satisfy their need, and so it's your business's job to fulfill that need. Louise shared with us examples of where this worked tremendously well and where companies gained market share and also a competitive advantage over their rivals. So I hope you enjoy this video and that Louise's talk gives you a better understanding as to how you could be or should be more customer driven.
With more and more conferences and events and exhibitions and webinars and forums online where your audiences don't even need to leave the comfort of their own sitting room to join in, how can you really break through and get and keep the attention of the people you're trying to talk to? One of the best ways of getting inspiration and innovation into any kind of business, particularly one where there's an experience involved, is by learning from others. There is one thing that is particularly important and that I think comes up again and again. And it is whenever you're trying to reach to people, to engage them in a service, product or experience, it's all about your customers. If you can stop thinking about customers, projecting out as something other over there, as people to be done to be done for, to be processed, to be delivered to, if you can sort of step out from behind your very luxurious desk or walk out of your lovely big glass office tower and stand in the shoes of the customers, clients or audiences you're trying to reach and look back at yourself through their eyes, see yourself the way they see you, then you're on to a really, really good start. And when you do start to think like a customer, I'm afraid to tell you that what you'll first notice is that customers don't think about us, the service provider, really very much at all. And when they do, it's only really in the context of three very small, very simple questions that are really hardly even consciously asked. So as a customer, the only thing I really know is that I have a need for something or a want for something. I have a problem I need solving. Then I'm interested in where I might go to get that product, service or experience. And particularly, why should I get it from you? And finally, having bought that product, having bought that experience, had that service from you, how did I feel about it? Did I enjoy it or like it or value it enough to come back and put myself through it all over again, to be a repeat customer, a loyal customer? Or better still, did I think it was so good that I would actually go so far as to recommend you to my family, my friends, my colleagues and so on, because that's where real success will come. By focusing on the insight we have about our customers, the product or service we deliver them and the experience customers have as a result, I think you can, in real constrained business world, make a difference and break through. I'm going to tell some stories today from my experience that show how some organisations have learned some really valuable lessons. This goes back to the early noughties, before the banking crisis. At that time, business was booming, and all of the major banks were competing ferociously for small business customers. Why small businesses? Well, they were easy to lend to, and lending is how banks make their money. But also from very humble beginnings, from small businesses, grow big businesses. So if you banked them when they were small and growing, you would probably have their loyalty when they were more profitable. Barclays had started with their customer. They really had looked to their insight and tried to be customer-centred. What they'd done was they'd recognised that people like you and me have very different needs of our banks than businesses do. And they'd gone as far as to actually reorganise and split their bank into two parts. They had the corporate banking division and they had the personal banking division, the better to meet the needs of different customers. When they were the number one for corporate banking in the UK, they were actually losing market share amongst their small business end of the business. Barclays confused insight with information. What we didn't have in all of that time was insight. We had a massive information, but the one thing we were missing was that nugget of gold, the thing that tells you what it's like to be a customer, that really lets you put yourself in the customer's shoes and understand what they need. And so we put all the information to one side and we went on the road for 2 weeks, and we went up and down the country talking to small businesses. And we didn't talk to them about what they wanted from a bank. We didn't ask them how much money they wanted to borrow or what would make them switch to Barclays. We just asked them to tell us about their business and their life. And we listened. And it was while we were listening that we found that nugget of gold. We experienced what I call the blinding flash of the bleeding obvious, because it is always bleeding obvious when it's revealed itself to you, but it isn't before then. It was that small business owners are people. And like all people, they're completely illogical, irrational, emotional, and incredibly passionate about their businesses, because their business defined them. They would use words like, "I'm a plumber," not "I run a plumbing business." The success of their business defined their personal success in life. It was how they provided for their families, and it was the source of their own self-esteem and self-worth. The moral of this story, I think, is that if you can stop thinking like a business and stop projecting onto your customers what you think they want, and actually find that nugget of gold of insight that allows you to see the world through their eyes and what they really want, great things can happen. In the 1990s, long-haul air travel had been completely deregulated, and there was unbelievably fierce competition for the very lucrative business traveller. And all airlines had the same insight. We all knew, for example, that there are actually two customers. There's the businessman or woman who does the travelling, and there's the business who actually pays the bill. We also knew that flying long haul on business was an inherently unpleasant, uncomfortable experience. Airlines were competing far more on giving away more space to customers. It was unsustainable. Well, this is where at British Airways we did something a bit different. Again, not rocket science. We tried to put ourselves in our customers' shoes, and we asked the question, why? When I'm travelling long haul, overnight, on the way to business, I want to be as comfortable as possible. Ideally, I want to sleep. Thinking about the benefits to the customer of the product, rather than the product feature, how big the seats were or how much legroom you gave, BAA was able to think very, very differently and to completely innovate its products and service. We relaunched Club World, which was British Airways business class, with the proposition, "Arrive ready to do business." We asked ourselves, what ideas can we pinch from other industries? By asking the question differently, by taking ourselves outside of our own industry preconceptions and looking back through the eyes of others, we were able to transform the industry, give British Airways competitive advantage for a number of years. If you remember nothing else from today, please remember this one. Think like a customer. It's easy to say, but it's actually really hard to do. Never confuse insight and information. They are related, but they are very different. Insight is incredibly rare, highly precious. It is not the job of the insight department, it is the job of everyone, and it's only possible when you really try and stand in your customers' shoes. Focus on the benefits to the customers. Focus on the why they want it, not what it is or what you're giving them.
Love that. Sometimes just listening to the customer is all that it takes to transform your business. As Louise put it, blinding flashes of the bleeding obvious happen. And that's where you'll find your nugget of gold so you can have that breakthrough moment. So I hope you enjoy this video. Please subscribe to see more, and thank you for watching.